Hello and welcome, my name is Eric and today I'm going to be giving you my practical review of the Canon 5D Mark IV. The reason why I call it a practical review is that as fun as it is to comb over tech specs and compare products of similar nature, my strong belief is that once you actually get the product, you just use the features that you were most excited about and you see your footage or pictures, and if you're happy with it, great. And you normally don't obsess over like, are you actually getting the dynamic range that you were promised? Are you getting the speeds you were promised? The resolutions, whatever it may be. It's you use it the way that you had always imagined and dreamed of, and that's how it goes. So I've been using this since about December, and I've honestly been really happy with it. If you're like me and much of the rest of the world, when Canon did announce the 5D Mark IV, your reaction probably went something like this. Canon just announced a new camera. Let's take a look at it. And then you found yourself wondering, who is this for? And I'm going to give you my answer on that at the end of this video. First, let's go into the obligatory tech specs. We have a 30.4 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor, a 3.2-inch touchscreen LCD monitor, 61 autofocus points, a native ISO of 32,000, expandable all the way up to 102,400, dual pixel RAW, dual pixel autofocus, and it does DCI 4K video at 30 frames per second. If you are familiar with a 5D Mark III, you'll be happy to know that not much has changed. There's a new button on the back that I'm pretty sure is just a multifunction button. I don't really know what it does because I haven't had a need to use it, and curiosity has not gotten the best of me. Another change to the body is they have moved the remote port to the bottom left if you're holding the camera. This is a nice change. It does feel a lot more secure there. I have used the remote port a little bit in the couple months I've been using it, and it does feel a lot better there. Aside from the aesthetic changes, there have been several features added to the new camera. First thing I want to talk about is the dual pixel RAW. The reason why I want to talk about it first is that I did not really use it much. And it's a very cool concept, and I'm sure it can help you in some situations. Basically, if you enable dual pixel RAW, when you take an image, there are 3 adjustments you can make after the fact. Really, the only one to note is the micro adjustment on focus. So if you're ever shooting wide open, or if you're doing like the whole spray and pray thing, I can definitely see that being beneficial. For me though, I shoot 95% in studio, usually tethered, so not really a big deal for me. Next thing is the dual pixel autofocus, which if you have read or seen anything about any recent Canon camera, you have probably heard of it and heard about how awesome it is. And I'm just going to regurgitate whatever they said and said, yeah, it's awesome. I haven't really had any problems with it. It works great, especially for video. Definitely for video. One surprising feature that I do love is the touchscreen on the back. The reason why I say it's surprising is because when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't need a touchscreen on the back of my camera. I don't care. But when navigating the menus, it does help a lot. And also it's nice when you're swiping through different pictures and things like that. And also you can use the touchscreen to select any autofocus points using the back of the camera. One benefit that I was definitely looking forward to is the built-in Wi-Fi. The reason is that instead of needing a separate monitor to monitor what you're looking at, you can download the Canon Connect app and then you connect your device, whether it be an iPhone, iPad, or any other phone or tablet. You just connect the Wi-Fi, your device, to your camera via Wi-Fi, and then you can open up the app and you can see live view of what your camera's looking at. So if you're somebody like me who pretty much does this by themselves, you can set the camera up, open up the app, connect it all up, and then you can see what's going on the screen. And so you can set up your composition and you can make sure everything's in focus and that there's nothing weird, which, nope, shouldn't be anything weird. So it's a very handy tool for that. The nice thing is that it does set up what is generally known as an ad hoc network. Basically, it's a connection, a Wi-Fi connection between the 2 devices without it actually being connected to the internet. So this is something that you can use on location, which is pretty cool. There are 2 time-lapse modes built into the camera. I'm sure you're wondering why in the heck are there 2? Well, one is a time-lapse mode. So what that does is you select how many shots you want done. It'll tell you how long it'll take to shoot it and how long that time-lapse will be once it's done. And once you hit set, you push down the shutter, it will start doing that. Once it's done, it creates the video for you all in camera. This is really convenient But one thing to note is that it doesn't actually meter every time it's going to take a picture. So if you are going to try and do a day to night time lapse, it doesn't change like it does with an intervalometer. So you can't really do that unless you're doing it very mildly, I suppose. But you generally want to use these things for any situation where the exposure isn't going to change much. But that's why you have the other mode. And so it's not technically a time-lapse mode, it's just a built-in intervalometer, but I'm pretty sure that's only used for time lapses. For this, you choose the number of shots, which it's kind of restrictive. You can set it to unlimited. I did this twice, and I tried to figure out how to stop it. I don't know if I'm just inept or just had a, off night or what. I could not get it to stop shooting without just turning the thing off. Once I did that, though, everything was fine. So the nice thing is that you can put it into shutter priority or aperture priority, whichever one you want to choose, or any other mode that you choose to take your time lapses in, and it'll re-meter every single time. So these are good for doing the day to night stuff, or even longer. Any situation where the exposure will change. For the data port, you do have USB 3.0. This is a big improvement over the USB 2.0, not just in speed and performance, but in the actual physical connector. It's much more secure. It feels a lot better when you're connected to it. It doesn't move around, and it works out really, really well. With my 5D Mark III, it always felt kind of loose. That I ended up getting a tether block, which if you don't know what that is, I'll put a link to it in the description, and just to make everything much more secure. Still like to use a tether block because it was decent investment for it, and I do like it still. But the connection itself feels so much better. A couple really awesome video features are the DCI 4K. The reason DCI, if you don't really know what that means, basically you have DCI, UHD. DCI is the cinema standard for 4K. It's a slightly bigger resolution. The UHD is slightly under 4K technically. It's like 3800 something. You also have access to something called Canon Log or C-Log. All that is, it's a very flat picture profile that you can grade after the fact to get the most dynamic range out of your footage. It works pretty well. Getting it to grade can take a little bit, but once you do it once, you can create a custom profile for that. There are some built-in profiles. When I had used the one for the 5D Mark III, this was in Final Cut Studio 10, Final Cut Pro 10. It was kind of oversaturated. I didn't really like it. I had to tweak it from there. I do know a lot of people will apply the preset and then tweak it from there just to give themselves a quicker starting point, but up to you. You can kind of fiddle with it. But it definitely does give you an increased dynamic range and is a big benefit for doing video work. So who is this camera for? Well, pretty much somebody like me. If you've invested a lot into Canon lenses, batteries, other accessories that are Canon exclusives, you don't want to invest the money in switching over to a whole new brand like Sony or Nikon or Olympus or anybody else who's doing great things right now. And all I really wanted, I wanted my 5D Mark III with continuous autofocus, maybe some other new features, which are pretty much the ones that I listed, and that's about it. And so I was able to sell my 5D Mark III. I got a good deal on it. I bought this thing on a good deal that was over the holidays, and it's worked out phenomenally for me. If you are somebody like me, this is not a bad investment. You'll be happy with it. It's an awesome camera that does awesome things. Great. If you're not in the same situation or in pretty much any other situation, you might want to look elsewhere. It's simply because there are so many companies doing so many great things right now that at that price point, which is $32.99, you can probably get a camera that at bare minimum has better features. It all depends on what your situation is, what you want to shoot, and go from there. If you are shopping for another camera, I do have a video I will also leave in the description that talks about things that you should look out for when purchasing a camera. So definitely take a look at that. Overall, this is a great camera for what it does. I definitely wish it had an HD 120 frames, 1080p. I wish that they went to a USB-C port instead of USB 3.0. Other than that, that's really all the improvements that I would care to have. I like the ergonomics of it. It all feels great. All my lenses work with it. It's the same batteries as 5D Mark III and 5D Mark II, which are awesome. I mean, as long as if you're looking for something that can still do kind of the all-around performance and still use all your stuff that you've spent so much money on, this is an excellent deal that you were definitely getting your money's worth with it. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you do have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Always remember to love yourself, and I cannot wait to share the next video with you.